Betrayal doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes it arrives in silence. I woke to the cold realization that nobody had noticed I was gone. The hospital room's beeping monitors confirmed I was alive, though the empty chairs around my bed suggested it didn't matter to anyone. No flowers, no cards, no worried texts, just antiseptic smell and the hollow echo of absence. How long? I asked the nurse, checking my IV. 2 days unconscious, she said, not meeting my eyes. SUV ran a red light. You're lucky. Lucky. The word hung in the air like a bad joke. Has anyone asked about me? The question burned my throat. She checked her clipboard, her expression softening with pity. No calls or visitors. My phone held 47 unread messages. Not one asked if I was alive. Jake. Need another $200 for tonight's event. Pay you back Friday. Promise. Olivia. Drama with Jake again. Call me ASAP for advice. Tyler. Resume help before tomorrow? You're seriously the best at this. I opened Instagram with trembling hands. There they were, laughing at Jake's party. The one I'd organized, the one I'd partially funded, the one I missed because I was lying unconscious after nearly dying. Best night ever. Jake had captioned a group selfie, their glasses raised in celebration. 23 likes, 15 comments saying how amazing their friendship was. How had I never seen it before? The pattern was blinding now. 3 years of one-sided investment. 3 years of, sorry, can't make it when I needed them, but you're amazing when they needed me. Jake had even posted a performative prayers for our girl at 8:03 p.m., then tagged himself at a bar at 10:15. I wasn't their friend. I was their ATM, their therapist, their career counselor, their event planner. A utility, not a person. Something crystallized inside me then, harder than sadness, colder than anger, sharper than pain. Clarity. The sunset painted my hospital room blood red, perfect backdrop for what came next. I created a new group chat. Recovery celebration. Next Friday, Lighthouse Bar. Something to celebrate. They had no idea this would be a farewell dinner. No idea the folder of evidence was already waiting. No idea I had finally woken up in more ways than one. Updated. Guys, I never expected this story to resonate with so many of you. I've received over 200 DMs about similar situations. Seems like we've all been the one who gives more than receives at some point. Question. Have you ever realized your friends were only around when they needed something? How did you figure it out? The nurse asked. Who was picking me up? I smiled and said, Uber. She looked at me strangely. I could have explained that my best friends were too busy partying to pick me up from the hospital after an accident. But why bother? The quiet guy in a Toyota Camry was more attentive than people I'd known for years. At least he asked how I was feeling. My apartment felt colder than I remembered. Empty. No flowers, no get-well cards, no visitors. Just emails from work and likes on my recovery party announcement. Amazing how fast they RSVP'd for free drinks. Funny how none of them asked if I needed anything. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, created folders, one for each friend. Methodical, clinical, like dissecting specimens in a lab. Jake.txt, Olivia.txt, Tyler.txt, Haley.txt. I pulled up my bank statements. 3 years of Venmo transactions, credit card statements, PayPal transfers. The math was sickening. $14,872 in loans that were never repaid. Jake's bachelor party. Olivia's emergency dental work that turned out to be elective veneers. Tyler's coding bootcamp deposit. Each transaction cataloged. Each promise to repay documented. Each excuse screenshot. The text messages were worse. I found a group chat I wasn't in. They called it a TM chat. Jake. She agreed to cover the venue. Told her it's for my promotion, but it's actually for my birthday, LOL Olivia. Can't believe she bought it. Tyler, she always does. Remember when I said I needed rent money but bought that gaming PC? Each screenshot was another nail in the coffin of our friendship. Strange how clearly you think once you finally see the truth. My phone buzzed. Tyler calling. I answered. Hit record. You okay? Heard there was some accident. Yeah, 2 days in the hospital. Nobody visited. Damn, that sucks. I was swamped with work. Speaking of work, I have a Google interview tomorrow. Can you help me prep tonight? Sure, Tyler. As always. My voice sounded hollow even to me. You're the best. I owe you. Yes. He did? They all did. I kept digging. Found messages between Jake and Olivia from last year when she was supposedly my best friend. Jake. She asked about us again? Olivia. Yeah, but I said we're just friends. She's so naive. LOL, Jake. Just make sure she keeps organizing my events. This party needs to boost my profile at work. Olivia. Don't worry, I've got her under control. She'll do whatever I ask. Always has. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, itching to respond. To help. Old habits die hard. But not this time. I booked the VIP room at Lighthouse Bar, ordered champagne, prepared the slideshow, bought a new phone, new number, ready for the aftermath. I closed the last file and checked the time. 3:42 a.m. Funny how friendship betrayal required as much documentation as divorce. 3 years of messages, over $14,000 in unpaid loans. 72 instances when they didn't show up when needed. All cataloged. Already. I sent the final message. Can't wait to see you all. Friday, 8 p.m. It's going to be a special night. They had no idea how special. Lighthouse Bar glowed through the snowy haze like a beacon for ships. The irony of the name didn't escape me. Tonight I would be the beacon illuminating truth. I arrived an hour early, arranged the folders, connected the projector, positioned the glasses, a director preparing the stage for the final act of her play. No anxiety, just strange calmness. My hands didn't shake. My heart beat steadily. When you know you're doing the right thing, fear retreats. They arrived in waves. Jake first, of course, center of attention, always. Our survivor. He hugged me too tight, his cologne suffocating. Looking amazing for someone who nearly met her maker. Thanks, Jake. Glad you find it amusing. My tone sailed right over his head. Always keeping spirits up. By the way, did you get my message about that investor? I need your portfolio for my presentation. 3 seconds. That's how long it took him to shift from fake concern to what he needed from me. A personal record. Olivia arrived next. All air kisses and performative gasps. Oh my God, you poor thing. I was so worried. Not worried enough to send a text. Not worried enough to visit. Tyler wandered in, eyes glued to his phone, looking up only when he needed a drink. Haley came last, the only one who seemed genuinely uncomfortable. I watched them like an entomologist observing particularly interesting specimens, the way Jake dominated every conversation. How Olivia's hand lingered on his arm when she thought I wasn't looking. Tyler's rehearsed questions about my health that pivoted instantly to his job prospects. So what exactly happened? Tyler asked between checking his notifications. Car accident, 2 days unconscious. Alone in the hospital. That's rough, he said, already looking back at his phone. Hey, speaking of rough, could you look at my PowerPoint before my presentation Monday? Before, these words would have hurt. Now I felt only cold curiosity. For a moment, their laughter seemed genuine. The old me reached for that warmth. The new me knew better. Haley caught me watching them from across the table. Are you okay? She asked quietly while the others were distracted. You seem different. Why do you think that? I don't know. Something in your eyes, like you're watching us from a distance. Maybe the accident gave me a new perspective. I smiled. Champagne? I raised my glass. To real friends, those who are there in joy and in hospital. I paused. To honesty, to reciprocity, to everyone getting what they deserve. Hell yeah, Jake cheered. To us? They drank, missing the bitterness in my words completely. I watched their faces illuminated by candles and phone screens, laughing, drunk, carefree. While they took another selfie for Instagram, I opened my laptop. One click separated them from the truth. One movement and the masks would fall. I took a deep breath. Mind if I show a little presentation? Jake flashed his signature smile, the one that used to make me feel special. Only if it's quick, I have an announcement. I smiled back. Oh, trust me, this will change the entire evening. And I pressed the button. Update. Guys, I'm blown away by your messages. A lot of you asked what gave me the strength to go through with it. The accident? The empty hospital room? Or just years of pent-up resentment? Honestly, it was all of it, but mostly it was realizing my own worth. What was your breaking point in a toxic friendship? When did you realize you deserved better? The room fell silent when the first slide appeared. Anatomy of a friendship. A case study. I stood up, feeling a strange lightness, as if years of pretense were falling away layer by layer. Thank you all for coming tonight. But this isn't a recovery celebration. This is an autopsy. An autopsy of what you've been calling friendship. Jake laughed nervously. What's with the drama? Been watching too much Netflix? I smiled and clicked to the next slide. His own words, enlarged for everyone to see. The laughter stopped abruptly, ATM chat? Tyler read out loud, his voice cracking. What is this? It's your private group chat, the one I wasn't supposed to see. My voice was steady, clinical, like a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis. The one where you discuss how best to use me. Jake's face transformed, from confusion to recognition to anger, all in seconds. What the hell are you doing? This is some sick joke? A joke? Like your message to Olivia? While that naive idiot helps with the event, we can spend the budget on whiskey? Or when you told Tyler I was always the backup plan when no one else is around? That's taken out of context. You're crazy. What context justifies this, Jake? I displayed the full conversation thread. Please, explain to everyone. The projector light illuminated every pore, every bead of sweat forming on his forehead. His mask was slipping, and everyone could see it. I moved methodically through my evidence. Screenshots of Jake calling me his personal bank. Recordings of Tyler laughing about using my ideas for his promotion while calling me pathetically desperate for approval. Text from Olivia to Jake from the night of my accident. Good thing she didn't come, she'd just ruined the party with her problems. Each revelation landed like a surgical strike. Precise. Calculated. Clean. 3 years, I said, showing a spreadsheet. $14,872 in loans never repaid. 72 instances where I needed help and received nothing in return. All documented. All real. Olivia was crying now, mascara streaming down her cheeks. You're betraying our friendship. We were always there for you. Really? Here's a screenshot from your chat with Jake the night of my accident. Good thing she didn't show up. She would have just ruined the party with her problems. This was after I paid half your rent last month. That was a joke. We were worried. Worried enough to send a single message? Every word was a stone lifting from my shoulders. I watched their facades crack and crumble before my eyes. Strange, but my hands weren't shaking. My voice didn't falter. I was as calm as a surgeon during an operation. Tyler tried a different approach. Look, we've all said stupid things, but we've been friends for years. You can't throw that away over some texts. Friends? I clicked to a new slide showing an audio waveform. Tyler's voice filled the room. She's so desperate to be included, it's pathetic. But hey, she's useful. Just mention a job problem and she'll spend hours fixing it for you. His face went pale. I was drunk when I said that. I didn't mean... You've said similar things at least 17 times in the past year. All recorded. All sober. I turned to Haley, the newest to their circle. My section for her was shorter. Screenshots of her silent presence in group chats where they mocked me. Her occasional weak defenses. Her complicity. And you, Haley. Not as cruel, but you watched. You knew. She looked down, tears falling silently. I knew it was wrong, but I was afraid of being alone if I stood up to them. At least you're honest now. Does that fix anything? But it's at least the truth. I wasn't feeling triumph. Not joy in their pain, just quiet relief at finally speaking the truth. When Haley cried, something flickered inside me. The old me wanted to comfort her. The new me knew. Comfort was the beginning of a new cycle of manipulation. I displayed the final slide. A simple black screen with white text. Goodbye. I'm not looking for apologies or explanations. This isn't a trial. It's a farewell. I'm severing all ties with each of you. My numbers will be changed, my accounts blocked. If you have questions about repaying money, contact my lawyer. His details are in the folders. Tyler stood up, knocking over his chair. You can't just erase us from your life. We're your family. Family doesn't use each other, Tyler. They don't lie. They show up when you're in the hospital. Jake switched tactics, his voice suddenly soft. Look, we've made mistakes. I've made mistakes, but this is extreme. Let's just talk about this. We've been talking for years. I've been talking. You've been taking. Olivia was bargaining now. We can change. Give us another chance. Like the chances I gave you after you spread rumors about me at work? Or after you started dating Jake while telling me I was imagining their flirting? The room was electric with tension. Ice cubes clinked in abandoned glasses. Outside, the bar continued its Friday night celebration, oblivious to our implosion. I looked at their faces, shocked, angry, tearful, calculating. I had seen these expressions before. After every confrontation came the apologies, the promises, the temporary changes, then the slow slide back to the same dynamic. Not this time. For years, I was your emotional support, your bank, your career advisor, your therapist, your event planner. I measured my worth by how much I could give, by how needed I was. I took a deep breath. Tonight, I'm giving you one last thing. The truth. And giving myself freedom. I left the folders on the table, one for each of them, with copies of evidence and my lawyer's contact information. I placed my American Express card next to them to pay the bill. The last time I would pay for them. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. Behind me erupted a chaos of voices. Pleas, threats, justifications. But for the first time in years, those voices had no power over me. I stepped into the cold night and took my first breath as a free person. It hurt. It was necessary. It was right. Silence was the strangest part. After the explosion at the bar, after the screams and threats that followed me to the taxi doors, came silence. I returned to my empty apartment, blocked all their numbers, deactivated my social media, and listened to the silence. For the first time in years, there were no messages demanding attention, no dramas requiring solutions, no one else's problems taking up all the space in my life. Just silence. Terrifying. Deafening. Liberating. The first 3 days, nothing. Then came the flood. Emails from work addresses, messages through mutual friends, voicemails from unknown numbers. Jake cycled through tactics like a desperate salesman. First rage, you're making a huge mistake. Then threats, I'll tell everyone what you're really like. Finally, pathetic pleas, I can't sleep without hearing your voice. Olivia went public. Instagram stories about toxic people who betray years of friendship. Vague posts about showing someone your whole heart and getting stabbed in return. All while tagging mutual friends to make sure I'd hear about it. Tyler pretended nothing happened. Emails about work projects, links to articles, invitations to networking events. As if our friendship was just temporarily offline, waiting to reconnect. Only Haley sent something real. One email, subject line, no expectations. I'm not waiting for a response. Not asking for forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. You were right. About everything. About them, about me. About how we treated you. I'd say I've changed, but I think proof matters more than words. And maybe someday I'll have that proof. Hope you're okay. You deserve to be okay. Haley's strange, but I felt no triumph. Only quiet in the place where their demands used to echo. At 3 a.m. one night, I almost texted them all. Old habits die hard. I found my camera box, 3 years untouched. So basic. Jake had said about my photos. I took it out. Dusty, like my soul. The first shot was blurry, the second too. By the 10th, something inside clicked into place, like pieces of myself scattered over years, finding each other again. I signed up for therapy. Dr. Rachel didn't flinch when I showed her the presentation slides. Do you feel guilty about ending these relationships? She asked. Sometimes, at night especially, I wonder, should I have just talked to them, given one more chance? How many chances did you already give? Hundreds? Years of chances. And what changed? Nothing. It got worse. Then why do you think one more chance would have changed anything? A week later, Mike, a former colleague, messaged me. I know you don't want contact, but Jake's in bad shape. Drinking daily, lost his job. Only talks about you. Maybe talk to him? I wrote, deleted, wrote again. Sorry to hear that. Hope he finds help. I can't be that help. You're abandoning a friend when he's down? He wasn't my friend when I was down. I woke up one morning and realized today I could do whatever I wanted. No checking someone else's schedule. No guilt. It was overwhelming. I responded to an email from Hazel Group about a position in Chicago. Yes, I'm interested. 3 words that changed everything. I looked around my apartment. So many memories, good and bad. They all belonged to the old me, the girl who lived for others, who measured her worth by how much she could give. That girl was gone. In her place stood me, with an interview ticket in my pocket and a future that finally belonged to me alone. It was time to move forward. Chicago greeted me with July heat and endless sky over Lake Michigan. 5 months since that night at the bar. 5 months and a lifetime. I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, gazing at the unfamiliar horizon, breathing fully for the first time in years. No ghosts from the past here. No familiar roots reminding me of old wounds. Just a clean slate and infinite possibilities. I settled into my job at Hazel Group faster than expected. The design team respected my portfolio without treating me like their personal creative ATM. Novel concept. I rediscovered photography. The camera collected dust for 3 years after Jake called my work basic and Instagram wannabe. Now each click felt like reclaiming something stolen from me. My first exhibition, a series called Liberation, was scheduled for fall. I'd made new connections too, not friends yet. I was careful with that word now. Sam, another photographer who critiqued my work honestly without tearing me down. Lisa from work, who never asked for favors beyond normal colleague stuff. Then came the gallery opening where I literally bumped into Haley. I didn't expect to see you here. In Chicago. Her voice was uncertain, eyes searching my face for anger. Moved 6 months ago. New job. You look good. Happy. I am happy. You? Learning to be. Not great at it yet, but I'm working on it. I smiled slightly. That's a good start. We got coffee. Awkward at first, then oddly comfortable. No pretense left between us. Thought you might want to know, she said, stirring her latte. Everything fell apart after you left. Jake lost his job a month later. Turns out all his connections were through your contacts. I haven't been keeping track. Olivia dumped him when the money ran out. Tyler still tries to get everyone together, but nobody responds. I think you were the glue that held us all together. No, Haley. I was the maid who created the illusion of friendship by cleaning up everyone's messes. When I saw her, I'd expected a tsunami of anger. Pain, something. But I felt only mild curiosity. Like this story had happened to someone else. I looked at my exhibition photos, a chronicle of transformation captured in images. The dark, blurry shots from my first months of freedom gradually gaining clarity, color, life. Just like me. People often ask if I regret the lost years. Number? Without that experience, I wouldn't be who I am now. The losses were lessons. Painful, but necessary. Now I understand, real connection with people doesn't require self-sacrifice. It should give energy, not drain it. That evening, sitting on that same balcony, watching city lights, I contemplated a strange paradox. Sometimes you need to be completely alone to finally find yourself. I was no longer the girl who woke up in a hospital, stunned by betrayal, nor the one who gathered evidence in folders to protect herself. Not even the one who boarded a plane to Chicago 6 months ago, trembling with fear and hope. I was simply myself, without the filter of others' expectations, without the burden of others' problems, without the wall of fake smiles. And that was the most beautiful freedom I had ever known. Update. Wow, already over 500 comments. It took me a long time to muster the courage to share this story, and your response is incredibly touching, especially the story from you/new Mr. 2823, who shared how my post helped her break free from toxic relationships with longtime friends. It makes me wonder, how widespread is this problem? How many of us live feeling used but are afraid to make changes? Question. What was your point of no return in toxic relationships? The moment you realized it was time to walk away?